Okay, this is a training video to explain white balancing, in this case gray balancing, of our Nikon cameras. The Kodak cameras that some of you have are slightly different, but this is for the Nikon models D1X, DX2, and DX2S, and D200 and D300. They all have an internal white balancing function, and we're going to white balance this year on the camera at each shoot, right, at least once a day. And by doing this, the color calibration of the camera is very accurate, and the color on one camera should match exactly the color on another camera. So we get a lot of wild colors out there right now because most people's cameras are set for flash white balance. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be white balancing the actual camera rather than making a setting on the computer. Now, the computer software that y'all are using, you're using a couple of different versions, that will pick up the preset that the camera has been told. Okay, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be simply shooting a picture of a gray piece of cardboard about that large. I'll show you how to do that. And we're going to be using the function buttons on the back of the Nikons to set that new balance. And basically we have to have a picture of the whole gray card, and they're only about that wide, and we will be putting them on the top of the chair that we sit on. And we're going to use the lens to zoom in on it, and we need to take the lenses to manual focus so that it's not going to go in and out of focus. Then the camera will be able to shoot. A lot of them will be preset on perhaps flash or maybe daylight or something like that, wherever you had it set. But those color balances are all way off from what we really need for portrait, especially to be consistent. Because one Nikon's flash setting might not look like the next Nikon's flash setting, and they tend to have a lot of red in the background and a real red-orange bias to the images. And it takes a lot of post-processing to get the color correct, even though we're still shooting raw files now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're simply going to go to where it says your preset balance, and there'll be a function on there on your camera to be able to customize that. All right, and then what we do is I'll show you here in a second how we're going to set up to shoot and do our white balance. Now I'm going to show you what it takes to set up for the gray balancing / white balancing. All we're using is a piece of cardboard like this, which is supplied by us. This is some of our mounting board that we use for the gray boards. And it just happens to be almost perfect for gray balancing. Photoshop really likes this shade of gray, I found out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to take a standard case that you all have, and a lot of you already do this. We're going to set it up on top of our stool, raise our stool up a little bit. I want this to be up almost to where the height of a person's head would be, obviously because the light's coming in. Now what you might have to do also is you might have to put something in it to weight it so it doesn't fall over during the shot. So you all have a brick of these things laying around usually, or put some other weight in there. Okay, now what I've done is I have mine folded like this, as you can see, which makes it easy to stand it up on one end's a little bit longer, and I found that if I stand it right up on there like that, it usually stays pretty straight to the camera. Now this stuff isn't glossy, so even if you're off a little bit, unlike the gray cards, you won't get a lot of glare on there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off my camera software. If we have the camera software running, Camera Capture or Capture Control Pro, whatever you guys are using, we're going to shut that off, or we're going to have to take and pull out our USB cable or our FireWire. In a lot of cases, like this camera has a FireWire, you know how much of a pain that is to have to go through the restarting of the computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just reach over and I'm going to turn Nikon Capture off, so that when I take a picture, it will only go to the internal workings of the camera. That's what it needs to do. Don't ever try white balancing in the software, even though there's a routine in there for that. Excuse me. I wouldn't try doing that. Do it right on the camera, because as soon as the camera capture software is launched, it will take the white balance, custom white balance that's in the camera, and bring it down to the computer. Okay? So let me go in the back of the camera now. what I'm going to show you is, on this particular unit, this is a D1X. There's a menu button. Sometimes you have to hit it a couple of times. It's now displaying the menu features here. And I'm always going to go to the little camera icon. There's a lot of menus in there. And the camera icon is our shooting menu. All Nikons have that same shooting menu. And most of the white balances are in the shooting menu. So I'm going to go up to where it says white balance. Alright, I'm in white balance. And then I'm going to press over that. Now I see an option where it says flash. And it says shade and cloudy and auto and all the incandescent lighting. I'm looking for one that says WB preset. Most all the Nikons will say that same thing. Alright, so I'm looking at WB preset. I'm going to go in there, and on this one, the D1X says set. Okay, so I'm going to hit my enter button or go over to that. Now all what it says is please release the shutter. Okay, so that means it wants to take a picture of something to measure the color temperature. Alright, what we're going to do is crucial to take the lens off autofocus. So I'm going to step over to the front of my lens, and there's a little slider button on the lens. All these lenses have them. I'm going to take it off on the manual, right? Then I'm going to zoom my lens out, and I'm going to zoom in right on that board, so that I'm filling the entire frame with that gray board. Now I don't see anything but that gray board in my viewfinder. But what we need to do is make sure that that's done, because I don't want to get any color from the background or anything else in there. Then I'm going to say, it says please release the shutter. So I'm going to fire the shutter. Right? Instantly it comes up and it gives me a list of presets, and it says OK. So once you accept that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over with that camera still on. I'm going to turn off the menu. I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to relaunch my Nikon Capture Control software. And on this software, we're going to be able to check the settings, and I'll go into the storage setting, or let me see, it's exposure. Yeah, it's exposure setting, number 2, and it's going to tell me preset 1. So it's already noticed that it's preset 1, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of the gray card itself, turn my lens back on autofocus. There, so I've changed that back to autofocus. Come back a ways, and then I'll just take a picture of the gray card. Right, now I'm going to explain to you how to use the shot that you just did to not only, we've already done the gray balance, we're going to now check the levels or the exposure. Alright, just by using that gray card like we would our gray card that we've been shooting. Okay, so what we're going to do is, you can see here that I have my shot right here on the screen. So I navigate to where I'm storing the images and drag that file over to Adobe Photoshop Elements. And when it opens up Elements, it's going to open it in what's called Camera Raw. Camera Raw, this version of Elements has the ability to auto balance things, but we don't want to do that. So we're going to get a true look at what we have, we're going to click